Thanks for the support as a channel member, Rusty Reviews. I hope you're excited. The LOLLUJO reunion tour begins today as we go and play against some of the teams that I've managed in series past. Yeah, I know they were before your time, so they don't really count, but still, we're going to play Boston today. You remember? Yeah, Boston was way before you. You were still a schoolgirl when we were managing Boston. Maybe not quite then. I was just trying to be nice. Hello and welcome to part 17 of Homegrown. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have that game against Boston and we also play Leamington, both in the National League North. Since you were last with me, we've played a few games. We've lost against Telford, which was a little bit of a shock because everything else had been going really well. And we did absolutely smash St Albans in the FA Trophy. I suggest they might not have been taking that as seriously as we were. But we are still in the FA Trophy. We're still in the FA Cup. We don't have a silly little distraction cup like the Southern League Cup or whatever it was that we won last year. So it's just the two that can make us money. It would be quite handy if they could make us some money too, because despite the £250,000 investment from Mrs Wearmouth in the summer and selling two of our best players, we are on a fast track to an overdraft, and it's not pretty looking at our future projections either. We've upgraded our youth system and it is expensive to keep running. But in the good news, next season's minimum guaranteed budget will be £3. So, you know, what can we buy for £3? Mrs Wearmouth lives in another world when it comes to transfer fees, I think. So this is the team we're going to put out there for the Boston game. We're going with Wright in goal, a back four of Rodriguez, Charles, Mir and Cisse. Davis is away on international duty, along with a couple of other our players. Danny Pritchard. Weirdly, Danny Pritchard is playing for Wales under-20s. Harrison Davis for Wales under-21s. I don't know why they have both of those. I don't know why they're both playing at the same time, but they're both away on international duty. So Shay Charles comes in to play alongside Mir for today. And we're then going with slam dunk. Nathan Curry is emerging in midfield. He's another one of our Name in the Game channel members. He actually came through the same youth team as Kieran Hodgkinson. We're going to take him off the loan list, I think, because we don't actually want to loan him out now that we've got him in the first team. But because Hodgkinson was there playing in that role, it kind of stopped Curry from getting the opportunity. But looking at him, he is now the best midfielder at the club. He wasn't 2 matches ago. But he's suddenly emerged as our best midfielder. He's done a Mick Powell. He's played in a couple of cup games. He's now made his debut in the league. I think Nathan Curry is probably a permanent fixture in midfield now until we probably sell him as well. But Nathan Curry is alongside Hamilton. And then we've got Camera on the right-hand side. And up front, we're going with Beerif and Whittaker. We're just going to stick a midfielder on the bench because I don't know why Mark Wearmouth is insistent on having 2 defenders on the bench, probably because he was a left back himself back in the day. He thinks, you can never have too many defenders. But interestingly, no left back on the bench. Perhaps he's thinking, well, we've got a centre back and a right back on the bench. The left back gets injured. Oh, Marky W gets a run out. No, Mark, sit down. Right, we are going to carry on where we picked up. Carry on where we picked up last game. There's a sentence. Pick up where you carried on last time out. I guess this is Boston's shiny new ground, which I have driven past on the way into Boston a few times, never in its finished state. But it is interesting to see they've decided to go with the weird non-league style stand. In fact, that's terracing, where you have the steps that lead up to an elevated platform that's above the change rooms. That's behind the goal as well. They've got it's like a Pim's tent that you get at the village fair. What is that? Why is that there? It's a tent with garden furniture outside of it. What a weird thing to put at a football ground. I don't think I've seen one of those in FM before. They've got relatively normal stuff around the rest of it, apart from the Pim's tent that's in that. It's nice looking dugouts. I'll give them that. Portaloos, lots of burger vans, but then the Pim's tent and a completely open gate, so anyone can walk in. No security here at Boston. And nobody at all on this terrace, which I guess is the one that's been set aside for us. We haven't bothered travelling. It's a long way. It's like an hour's drive. We'd have to get a minibus. You wouldn't have to get a minibus. A mini would do the job to get our away contingent there, but apparently we couldn't even be bothered with that. Nathan Curry, loads of space to spray the ball out to Slam Dunk, who is still unhappy at the club, and I'm still expecting him to leave once we get to the January transfer window because he won't sign a new contract. He's unhappy, and we've agreed to accept an offer of 20,000 for him if we get one. I would be surprised if we get that kind of offer because it seems the whole world is working on Mrs Wearmouth transfer fees, judging by the players that we sold in the summer. 20 grand sorts our wage bill for like 2 weeks. Okay, it's probably nearer 4 weeks, but still, it's not worth doing. But apparently, we're going to do it anyway, and we've agreed with Slam Dunk that we're going to do it, which is troublesome. Right, 0-0 at half time. Not really the return to Boston that I was hoping for. Let's keep performing. The result will come. I think that's fair. So this isn't. I wonder if this is the new ground in game. I didn't look at the name of the stadium. What is Boston's new ground called? I know we've got Boston folk watching these videos. Let me know in the comments. What's the new ground called? It's not the Jakeman's Community Stadium or whatever it was before. Named after I know it was named after Cough Sweets. Because I remember posing in front of the sign because I went there when I was at uni and I had a lecturer called Jakeman. So we posed in front of the sign and sent in the picture. Boston facts, boys and girls. Right, we do need to assert ourselves onto this game a little bit. We're not quite the same team without Pritchard as a focal point for the attack. We notice it every time he doesn't play, and it's really clear again today. We're not really we don't really have a tactic. Says the manager. We don't really have a tactic when we don't have the big lad up there to aim for. Beerith thinks he's a target man, but I think we've all learned over the last year that he's not. He's an advanced forward who likes to describe himself as a target man because whenever we play him as a target man, he doesn't really play very well. Camera, who's supposed to be our winger, is running up the centre of the pitch. I don't know what he's doing this far in field anyway, and he's just run into trouble. Cisse plays it into Whittaker. Cisse crosses it back in again, looking for Slam Dunk, who, believe it or not, at 5'3", couldn't win the header. Crosses floated back over again. Whittaker couldn't get there, and Beerith wins it back. Hamilton now giving it to Cameron, who's very far infield again, but Cisse is nice and wide on the overlap. Whittaker's there, and he's hit the crossbar, and Whittaker's in on the follow-up, and it's his first goal of the season, and I think his first ever goal in a home shirt whilst playing as a striker. He scored a couple of goals last year from the wing, but now we've got Camera in, who is a natural right winger and better at it than Whittaker is. Whittaker is kind of in the mix of our centre forwards now rather than the wide player we forced him to be all last year. So I'm hoping we see a new Terrell Whittaker this year because based on what some of you have told me about your saves where you've had him, he should be our star man. Although I had him for Kettering and he wasn't great at Kettering either, so maybe I just don't use him right. Right, Slam Dunk is shattered, so Eiffel can come on for him. Nathan Curry is also tired, so Bandera can come on for him. And we'll leave it there for now. I think Eiffel is the one who can play on the left, isn't he? Yeah, Eiffel's the left midfielder, so that's fine. He's come on to play in his natural position, because I know he can play both sides. He's natural on the left, whereas Camera, I think, can play both sides, but he's natural on the right. Let me check that. See, I know my player. He's actually natural both sides as a winger, and neither on the right-hand side of midfield. We're forcing him into becoming a right midfielder, though. Right, Hamilton is also tired. We don't really have... I guess what we could do is push Cisse forward. If we put Price on, put him at right back, Cisse can go up into midfield then. And hopefully that's going to be enough for us to just see the game out and hold on to this narrow lead that we've got. Right, plays it forward to Bandera, who... I mean, that looks like he's tried to clear that. He's tried to clear... Oh, that's a lovely tackle from Cisse. Eiffel plays it into Whittaker. Our attack has looked pretty toothless today, but Eiffel's in here, and he needs to... We do need to give a little bit more game time to him, because between him and Van der Laan, when Slam Dunk leaves, they're going to be our options up front. And Beerith has just done a Danny Pritchard corner. He's hovering at the near post where Pritchard does, and he is just... I mean, it's a lovely glancing header, a cross goal into the bottom corner, and that does wrap up the victory on leg one of the LOLLUJO reunion tour that we're going to be getting over the next few days in these videos. We're also going to be visiting Kettering and Kings Lynn, I think, are the next 2 stops on the tour. And they're nicely spaced out, so we can do all of them. It's lovely, going back to all the old stomping grounds. Like, if we hadn't have done this, we'd never have known there was a Pimm's tent at Boston now, which is, I think that's important information for us to have. But before any of that, it is time for Leamington. So let's hopefully keep this little run that we're putting together going against them. The games are coming thick and fast here, so we're having to do a little bit of rotation. Davies and Pritchard both back, but Nathan Curry is shattered. Where is he? Can't even find him. I can't scroll. Why can't I scroll? There you go. Nathan Curry's tired, so he can sit this one out. Beerith also tired and sitting this one out. So we've got Davies has come back in at the back alongside Mir. Bandera goes into the midfield, and Pritchard is going to partner Whittaker up front. The only other thing we need to do is make sure we have a midfielder on the bench. Now we do. Excellent stuff. Let's head to Leamington and do a football. One other piece of news, Nathan Curry has signed a contract extension. Now he's broken into the first team, and we've given him a new contract. He's here for, I think, the next 3 years. It's the usual 2-year plus an optional extension. We haven't cashed in the extension yet because we'd like to keep it as a get out of jail free card, as we talked about in the transfer special. But yeah, that's a 3-year contract effectively, even though it only shows us 2 currently. But Bandera was the man who, when we brought him in, the media expected Bandera to be the best player for us in midfield. And I guess another option for life after Slam Dunk would be for Hamilton to move out onto the left wing and Bandera and Curry to partner up in midfield, because Bandera is supposed to be pretty good. Talking of pretty good, Whittaker looking pretty useful there, cutting inside and really showing a nice turn of pace. He might be the perfect partner for Pritchard, because obviously Beerith, although he scores a lot of goals, is similar-ish, whereas Whittaker is much quicker than any other striker we've got at the club and could complement the big target man really rather well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this combination plays today. I think it's the first time these two have played together. Certainly with Whittaker up front. Obviously, they played together with Whittaker out on the wing lots of times. Slam Dunk, 2 bites of the cherry there. Still can't force it past the goalkeeper. They were the kind of goals Slam Dunk scored relatively easily last year. I don't know if it's a case of the step up to the National League North is a little bit too far for him, or if he's just, because he's not that bothered, he's not playing as well because of it. But Slam Dunk doesn't seem the all-conquering superhero that he did a league or 2 below. Whittaker plays it into Pritchard, and Pritchard not really sure what to do with it because it's so far away from my head. How do I head this? Ends up swinging one of his limbs at it, and it's not quite as effective as heading it would have been. Camera is charging into the area and has fallen over there quite theatrically. I don't think there was ever any chance that being a penalty. You could see that from all the way up here that it wasn't a penalty. I'm surprised the referee hasn't booked him for it. Talking of bookings, there's a little bit of shenanigans going on there, but I don't think anybody came away with a yellow card. Whittaker has taken a knock apparently, so we'll just, that experiment. Oh, in fact, it's now become a real injury. So Tyler Roberts can come on, and that experiment of playing Whittaker and Pritchard lasted 38 minutes for those of you keeping score. And Roberts is another one who's quite a similar nippy little striker to Whittaker. So he has played with Pritchard a couple of times already this year. So Whittaker might have just lost his opportunity by being made of glass and getting himself injured. He had a couple of spells out injured last year as well. So I do think there's potentially a little bit of injury proneness there on Whittaker. Slam Dunk's tired as well, so I'm going to make that suggested change in a second. Eiffel on for Slam Dunk seems sensible. Roberts, lovely pass looking for Pritchard. Pritchard's actually won the ball as well and had a shot from range. I've mocked Pritchard a little bit for not being able to do anything other than head today, but he's just used his power there. He had no right to win the ball, but he's just blasted through the gap in the defence and then hit it really hard from range. This is all power from Pritchard, and it's taken a useful deflection, but either way, lovely goal from Pritchard. Eiffel's come on for Slam Dunk as part of the goal celebrations. Really, we just go on there, celebrate, and send Slam Dunk off with you. And we're just really looking at fitness levels. Hamilton, I think, needs to come off as well. We've got Davey down on the bench, so Hamilton can come off for Davey, and that is our substitutions done. And as it stands right now, we will be top of the league because Darlington losing away against Warrington. They've been level on points with us for a little while. But if we can hold on to this victory here, which fingers crossed, is looking pretty likely with 2 minutes to go. We are going to be top of the National League North for, I think, the first time. Were we top right at the start of the season? We might have been. But we are top. Well done, boys. Pat on the head for all of you. Outstretched arms. They love an outstretched arm. There you go. Have a bit of an outstretched arm. Whitaker is going to be out for a couple of weeks with a damaged heel. Pritchard gets a pat on the head. And we load everybody into Slam Dunk's van because we're off on the reunion tour again. In fact, the Kettering game's at home and in 3 games' time. You know what? That's quite soon. We might. Then King's Lynn's quite far away. I'd ideally want to be... See, the thing is, we've got Chester, which is one of our derby. We'll do Chester and Kettering because that's a derby game and that's Kettering, and then we will do King's Lynn as planned. I know they're quite close together, but Chester I really want to show you because we haven't had our historical derby yet. That derby needs a name. Let me know down in the comments, what should we name the home Chester derby? They're quite far apart geographically, but goodness me, do they not like each other? But that will, of course, be a story for tomorrow. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.